Nelson Mandela was born on June 18th, 1918. His real name is Rolahala, but when he was young, his teacher gave him the name of Nelson because nobody could pronounce his real name, and it was an English name, so people could actually give him a real name. His father was the leader of their village where he lived in, called Mavisa. It was a very little village, and the colonials that were governing them over there in South Africa did, for some reason, just kick them out, and they lost all their riches. Being a small village, riches for them could be like $100 for us. So when he was very young, he decided that he wanted to become part of the Catholic faith, so he was baptized, and he was also the first of his family to get an education. When he was 16, his father decided that it was time for him to go through their ritual into manhood, and for the Africans, it is a very elaborate ritual. So after he turned 16, he left his village to go on and get an education. He studied at multiple different colleges. He studied at the Westland College in Fort Beaufort, the University College of Fort Hare, and he studied English, anthropology, politics, Native administration, and Roman Dutch law. When he graduated, he took a good long look at what he saw. He didn't like what he saw, so he decided to make a change. One of the things he saw was the classroom size for whites and blacks. The whites, the teacher-to-student ratio was 1 to about 23. For blacks, it was 1 to 100. That's a pretty big class size. And also, they made an act. It was the Land Act, and it deprived all of the existing black territory, and they cut 87% of their territory. He didn't like that, so he decided to make a change. And he joined the African National Congress to make a change in the politics there. But, he couldn't really do much because blacks didn't have a say. They were the majority of the population in South Africa, but at the same time, they were the minority because of the way they were treated. Blacks made it very hard for them to get jobs, good paying jobs, very hard to get good educations unless you were wealthy. All of the black people in South Africa lived in squalor, whereas even the poorest white person still lived in a decent home. So he decided to change that by using his words, but he got sucked into being a freedom fighter at the same time. And by doing that, then the whole country saw him as a bad person, because he got sucked into the controversial blood diamond. They believed that he supported the blood diamonds, and if you don't know what that is basically diamonds mined on the battlefield and then sold for weapons and ammo. So, after they found out this, they chased him. He was on the run for 17 months. And when they caught him, he released a statement in his autobiography, A Long Walk to Freedom. I was only caught because I was being careless and not covering my tracks. So now on to his life in prison. He was sentenced to 230 counts of sabotage, which is just treason, which is life in prison. He was sent to Robben Island, which is pretty much like an Alcatraz. There he spent only 18 years in prison. He was a quiet nuisance. He was a troublemaker, but he did it quietly. He wouldn't eat his food because it was disgusting. He would throw it away or hide it, and they noticed he was starving, getting very thin. So they gave him better food and put him on kitchen duty so that he could give out good rations to everybody else there. Because if he had died, they would have had to shut down the prison because of malnutrition. And this is a maximum security prison. And there's nowhere else for these people to go. The only place they can go is back to where they came from to cause more trouble. So they did that, and then he had a better life in prison. And then Frederick William de Klerk was elected president. He lifted the ban on the execution of Nelson Mandela and freed him. when Nelson was freed, he released a statement saying that he will make lives better for the black majority and the white minority at the same time. He was elected president in 1994, and he only served one term to 1999. But during that, he promoted their rugby team, the Springboks, which at the time, they were terrible. They couldn't win a game, and they were holding the Rugby World Cup in South Africa that year, and he backed the Springboks, knowing even though they were a terrible team. And the Springboks went on to win the World Cup by beating the All Blacks from New Zealand. And nobody thought they could do it, but he backed them, and that proved that Nelson knows what he's doing. He did that, and he also made life better for the African Americans in South Africa. After his one term, he retired and moved back to his little village of Maviso, where he is now resting. So to conclude, it doesn't matter the color of your skin, where you come from. A great leader can come